Hi everyone, in this video we are going to code the why section of our website. Now before jumping into HTML, we need to dissect what kind of elements we are going to have so we can write the HTML better. So on one side we have two images, which is going to be like one on top of the other, and on the other side it's very simple. Well, again, we have that section title, we have the section paragraph, and then we have these sort of facts that I've called them, which the only thing unique about them is going to be their border radius. So without further ado, let's jump into HTML. Now what I did incorrectly in my previous video, and I'm sorry for that, is that I provided this lazy outside the loading. So this is the about section for all three images. For part 1, part 2, and part 3, I seem to have made the same mistake. So this is lazy. It comes within the quotes, double quotes. Loading is equal to lazy. And let's collapse part 2 and let's jump into part 3. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to complete this. Okay, that is lazy. There we go. So with this, this section is completed. Let me just check that. Lazy. Yeah, cool. Now let's jump into the why section. So within the why section, we have the images, which is going to be one container. So I'm going to say div with a class of y __ image. Now here we're going to have two images. So the first image we are going to insert from images slash where is the y section. Now this is the now what I'm going to do is first I'm going to insert the laptop image, then I'm going to insert the dots image, and we are going to control this one on top of the other, the stacking order with z index. So this is going to be why choose us, and this image I'm not going to give it a class, but I'm going to say loading is equal to lazy. Let's copy that, and in here I'm just going to change the image itself. So I'm going to say this is going to be the dots svg, and we are going to say basically that's a picture of dots. So the images, they're done. Let's jump into the content. The content is very simple. Now before moving forward, I just remember that I need to provide this section with that section padding utility class that we have created. So it receives the padding. And also when we go to 850, it is going to receive that media query for that. So I don't have to like really worry about it at all. So we are going to say y __ content. There we go. So what do we have? We have a title, we have a paragraph, and we have three images, three elements. So we are going to create a div for those, a container. But the title and the paragraph, they're not going to have any containers. So this is the title. I'm going to grab an h2. So the first class is going to be content -- title. That is the first class. The second class is that section title, that utility class that we have created, because I want all those utility styles for the title to be applied on this one. And what is the name of the class? You just need to provide the name of the class. It's exactly like Tailwind CSS. So we have a span element. Come on, not snap. We don't want to snap anything. So it is going to say cool effects. This is the span element. Cool effects. What am I even writing? Cool facts. And let's lowercase this f. And we are going to say about this app. Cool. So this is the title. Let me just grab the class, and we are going to come down here. This is going to be the para. So it's going to be a paragraph. The class is going to be, we are just going to change the title with the para, and then we are done with the class of the paragraph. So let's say lorem. I could do 20. I think that is enough, or maybe like decrease it all the way up here. So the title is done, the paragraph is done. What else? We have the actual facts. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give this div a very, very generic name. It's going to be content -- facts. So it is facts. And each individual shape is going to be one individual fact. Now let's take a look at that. Let's see what we have here. So all three of these images, these shapes, they are within one container. But both of these shapes, what do they have? They have two elements. One is this 125K and the other one is downloads. So each of them is going to be one container as well. So I'm going to copy this. The reason that we do all of these containers is because it makes alignment supremely easy if we have containers. So we are going to have three containers. The first one, let's just provide some space. Now the first one is going to have a paragraph. I'm going to do a paragraph that is 125K. And the second paragraph is going to be downloads. Cool. And in here we are going to have a paragraph that is going to say 87K. 87K users. There we go. And finally, K stands for 1,000, so 87,000. And this is going to be the rating, which is going to be 4.8. And this is going to be a rating. Let's save everything. Let's first, before taking a look at that, I'm going to remove the height so we can actually see what we've done so far. So this is the web page that we're working on. This is the laptop. This is the dots. So all of this will be converted to a beautiful website, a beautiful section like this with just CSS. Let me get rid of the background color as well. And I need to show you something. So in here, we can see that our title is already styled. The paragraph is already styled. Only these images and these little shapes, they need styling. So with this, the HTML comes to an end and this part is done. Lazy, cool. Let's jump into CSS. So in CSS, first things first, what do we want to do here? Now, we have two elements. One is on the left, one is on the right. So we are going to say display flex. So initially we have two containers. Both of them are going to become flex items. And their direction, the direction of the flex is going to be its default, which is row. I'm not going to touch that because they're sitting next to each other. I'm just going to space them farthest. That is space between. Let's provide a dynamic value for calc. With calc for gap, the minimum is going to be 2 rem, the maximum is going to be 2 VW. The reason that I use VW a lot is VW is for width, view per width. And that is the most important aspect of making any website responsive. I mean, height is important as well, but it doesn't play that much of a role as the width plays. So in comparison with width, you need to focus on width, but on its own, you need to focus on VH as well. Let's grab the images. So both of the images, what I would want to do is I'm going to say flex basis. Let's set it to 50%. So 50% of the container is going to be the image, and then 50% of the container is going to be the content. The other 50% is going to be the content. We have two images here. Now, the easiest way to put one element on top of the other, as we have seen in our features section, it was the features section. The easiest way to do that is grid. So we're going to say display grid template columns. Now I'm going to create 10 columns. The reason that I'm going to create 10 columns is the more columns you have, the more more precisely you can actually lay out your elements. So if you want to lay them out in small bits, like you could use like 100 columns, and that's very fine precision layouting. If you do 2 columns, so you can just put it on the right hand side of the container or on the left hand side of the container. But the more columns you have, the better and the smoother you can actually change these images. I'm going to show you what I mean. So I'm going to say 10, and each of them is going to be 1 FR. And I'm going to do almost the same thing for grid template rows, except I don't want to specify the height. I'm just going to say the content should specify the height for the rows. And let's grab our images. We are going to say Y image. Now both of them, they're going to be width 100%. Let's save that and let's see what we've done here. So here is our content. There we go. So this is what we've done so far. Right here, Okay, what is up? Flex basis 50%, display grid, repeat 1FR, and width Y image is 100%. Let me grab the content. So it is Y __ content. Let's set the flex basis to 50%. Let's save that. Okay, they are small. They shouldn't be that small. Let's actually inspect these. So this is the image. It is taking up the entire space, but I think let us just go ahead and activate the grid view. So this is exactly what we are trying to do. So the image is small because it is within the first column. So what we want to do is we want to stretch the image across some columns. So I'm going to show you the final result so you really understand what I'm talking about. So let me go to image. Where is it? You can see we have a lot of grid containers. So this is what we've done. So the image, the top image or the laptop image, it starts from column 2 all the way to the last column. It stretches to the last column, and then it starts from the first row, stretches 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, and the rest of the rows, they are dedicated to this dots image. So column, it is going to be 2 minus 1, and row, it's going to be 1 span 4. We could do 1 span 4 for the rows. So let's grab each individual image. So first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the image, which is the first child. Not like this. Now this is an incorrect selector. The reason for this is because we have only Y image. We want to select the first image, but this Y underscore image is not any image. It is the container for the images. So in order for this to be accurate, we need to select the actual image. We could do first child. We have not done first of type, so I'm just going to do first of type. It doesn't really make sense in this context, but I could do that. I'm just being spontaneous. Grid column. So I wanted to start from 2 and span all the way to the end of the container, which is going to be -1. And grid row is going to be, so we said start from 1 and span by 4 rows. So span 4. Let's save that. The image should automatically get bigger. There we go. There we go. Now that is more like it. So 4 rows and 9 columns. Cool. Let's go ahead and let's provide it with some more styling. I'm going to say the Z index for this one is going to be 1. Border radius is going to be 2 rem, a little bit more. And let's give it a box shadow so it stands out from the background, the dots image. So 2 pixels horizontally, 2 pixels vertically, 50 pixels is going to be the amount of blurriness or blur radius, and how much do you want it to spread by 5 pixels. And the color is going to be light gray. Save that. Let's come here so you can see this shadow around this image. That is the let me just deactivate this. That is the box shadow that we have provided. Now here is the dots. We are going to move that as well. Now let's grab the dots. The dot is going to be the last of type. So I'm just going to select this part, put it right here. I could do last of type or I could do last child. Doesn't really matter. So where do I want it to start? Now, in the grid columns, let's take a look at this. So I wanted to start from the first grid column and span like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Span 6 columns. And in the rows, I wanted to start from 3 and span all the way to the bottom of the container. So grid column, start from 1 and span 6. Grid row, where are you? No, not auto rows. So grid row, start from 3 and span all the way to the bottom of the container, which is -1. Let's take a look at that. There we go. So now this is what we have actually done. So it's extremely easy to do these kinds of overlapping or overlaying elements with grid. It's extremely easy, and it's so much not painful. So let's go ahead and let's grab the content. So we are done with that part. The content, we have title, paragraph, and the elements. I'm just going to do a very old-fashioned flex, and all the items, they're stacked vertically. So we are going to change the direction to column, and let's do a gap. I mean, why not? 2 rem minimum value, maximum value is going to be 2 rem plus 1 VW. Let's take a look at our elements. There we go. So there is some spacing. We are going to get to that shape, don't worry. That is going to be the most complex thing that we have done so far. So let's go ahead and let's grab the title. So the title is in the middle. I want it to be towards the left. I'm going to say y __ content -- title text align center. So that part is done. Let's grab the facts container. So y content -- facts. So this is the container for all 3 shapes. Each of the shapes is going to be a container as well. So this one, we are going to say display flex. We are not going to change the flex direction because, as you can see, all the shapes there are, let me get rid of that, grid, there we go. So all the shapes, they are stacked or they're sitting next to each other. So display flex. Now justify content is going to be space between, provide space between them, but vertically we want them to be center. Let's do a gap of 1 rem. Now let's grab each individual fact, which is also a container. And for that, we are going to say display flex. Now the information, they're stacked vertically. So we need to change the flex direction to column. And then I'm going to say justify content center, which is going to center vertically because we have changed flex direction to column. Justify content acts according to flex direction. Align items, it acts opposite to flex direction. So align items now works horizontally, which is going to be center. Now each of these divs is going to have a height of 10 rem. It's a very, very experimented value. And I experimented a lot with these border radii, and then I came up with it. If you want to know how they're created, you need to change these values, and you're going to get a sense for that. So the padding is going to be 2 rem. Again, very experimented value, highly experimental or experimented. Now here is our cool thing. Here we're going to do something that we've never done before, not in all of our tutorial series. So we are going to combine. We're going to add 8 values in here. I mean, normally with border radius, you have 4 values. Usually for the most part, you have only 1 value. And then like if you're like really, you want to go crazy, you have 4 values. Like top left, top right, bottom left. But what if you have 8 values? So instead of typing all of those percentages, I'm just going to copy paste them. And I'm going to save it here. Now, what does this mean? For me to be able to explain this better, we need to take a look at this closer. Now, and we need to take a look at this one as well. So I'm going to zoom this part in as well. So any CSS box, any rectangular, or I think I should show you this. This is better. So this is your representation of a CSS box. And here we have the border. Now we have a top left border. Border radius, when we are talking about border radius, first value is going to be top left, top right, and bottom left. Now for the top right, if I like really go crazy with zooming, I need to explain this. So for the top left, this corner that is being created, this is actually being created by 2 lines. So when 2 lines, they start curving, it doesn't matter in which direction. When they start curving, both of them, and then they get together, they're going to create that curvy border or that border radius, that we're talking about. So in each border, in each corner of this image, in each corner, we are going to have 2 different lines. So 1 line, 2 line, and then 1 line, 2 line. So in total, how many lines do we have? So we have 1, 2, and then we have 3 and 4, and then we have 5 and 6, then we have 7 and 8. I know you're saying, okay, we have 4 lines, the top, the bottom, the right, and the left. I'm not talking about the actual lines. I'm talking about the lines that form a corner. I'm talking about those lines. So we have 2 lines that form the top left corner. That is 2. We have 2 lines that form the top right corner. That is 4 lines. 2 lines, because each of these values, you can control them with border radius. When you can control them individually, they don't become 4 lines. I mean, intuitively, you're going to say 4 lines, but each line is going to have 2 heads. It's like that. So 2 ends of a line. One end is going to be considered, is going to have a different border radius. The other end is going to have a different border radius. So let me just put it in the center. So this part, this line on the left, this end of the line, which is the top part of the line left, this is going to have a different border radius, and the same line's bottom half is going to have a different border radius. That's why I'm treating it as 2 different lines, because we can apply 2 different values on the same line. So 2 lines, they form the top left, 2 lines top right, 2 lines bottom right, and then bottom left. So in total, we are going to have 8 lines. Cool. So that part is done. Let's bring this down. Now, how have I created this? So this 87%, this is going to be the top, this value, along with this 45%, 87% and 45%, they form the top left radius. So the top left radius, it has 2 values. The line that is coming from the left towards the top, and the line that is curving from the top towards the left, right? So we have 2 values. We have a top line and we have a left line. Which of these values belongs to the top line and which of the values belongs to the left line? This shorthand is going to tell you that. So in top left, if we take a look at this property value, take a look at this property name, which value comes first? Top. And which name comes second? Left. So 87% is the top line, 45% is the left line. That is the easiest way to understand, okay, which part actually, how this actually works. So that part is done. 13% and 52%, they form the second corner, which is the top right. So if I take a look at that property name, that is going to be like this. So 13% is going to be the curve for the top line, which is curving towards the right, and 52% is going to be the right-hand side's line curvature towards the top. So that line that we have on the right, it is curving towards the top. The line that we have on the top, it curves towards the bottom, towards the right. So 13% for top, 52% for right. We have 87% and 48%. So 87 is for the line bottom. Just take a look at these property names. So bottom, and then we have bottom. So first is going to be bottom right and then bottom left. So 87% bottom for the bottom line, which is going to curve towards the right, and 48% for the line which is going to curve towards the bottom. And then for the final value, we are going to have 13% for line bottom, 55% for line left. So this is, again, these are experimental values. I've experimented a lot with these. And if you do go ahead and experiment with those, you're going to end up with something like this. So I'm going to, was this? No, that is way too zoomed out. So we have created that. Now, each of these facts, they're going to have a different background image, which is going to be a gradient, of course. So let's go ahead and let's actually complete that. Now, for the first child, the background image is going to be gradient tertiary. Cool. This is the gradient tertiary. Let me copy it a couple of more times. And for this nth child 2, it's going to be quaternary. Oops, this is quaternary. And for the third one, or the last child, it's going to be quinary. So I need to add only an I. and this is going to be last child. Let's save that. Let's take a look at it. There we go. The only thing remaining is we need to enlarge the font size of these paragraphs and also make them white. Change the color to white. So we have this fact. Let me copy that, put it right here. And within each fact, we have actually 2 paragraphs. So the font size for the paragraphs is going to be var sts static small. Font weight is going to be 900, and color is going to be color primary. So it's going to be var primary. That's it. So we are done with this part. Now the only thing remaining for us to do is to actually make this section responsive. And for us to be able to make it responsive, we need to go ahead and we need to actually make the window width smaller. So let's go ahead in our final design. We're going to make the width of the window smaller. Let's see what is going to happen. So at some point, we don't have enough space for both of the elements to be sitting next to each other horizontally. Let me zoom out on this. There we go. I think that is better. Let's go to 100%. So at some point, still it's 994. We should go ahead and we should see both of them stack vertically, one on top of the other. There we go. So at this point, what I mean, this image is not aligned, but this dots image that is aligned, so that definitely counts. And all of these facts, they come towards the center. Now that I'm taking a look at it, I think it would look better if all of these facts they stack horizontally towards the left of the container, and that is going to be around 850. So let's jump into the media query for 850. I'm going to grab that comment. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say you know what? I want this section padding and section title, I want them to be the last styles within this media query. So I'm going to provide all the other styles on top of them. This was the Y section. Now in here, I'm going to grab this container and I'm going to say flex direction. I'm going to set it to column. Let's save that. Let's take a look at our website. Let's go to 850, below 850. Okay, I think this looks cool. And there we go. So the image comes first, then the text. I mean, if you think this looks better, then you could just leave it as it is. But in my opinion, if I just reverse the column, then the image is going to come below and the text is going to go on top. And now what I would want to do is I would want to grab this title and stick it to the left of the container. Let me take a look at the styles for this title. H2, font size, text align left. I have said text align left. Why is it in the middle? I think that is because of this align items, justify center. Have we done justify content center? But they are the flex direction for that. Here it is, text align. Why did I do text align center? It should be left because I want it to be to the left. Let's come here. There we go. It is on the left. And if I make the window width smaller, it is on the left. There we go. So all three of the shapes, they're right here. The space, it doesn't look that cool. So it is space between. Let me grab this facts. And I'm going to come down here, right here. Let's put that. I'm going to say justify content, flex start. Let's take a look at it. So all three of them, this doesn't look cool as well. What should I do with this? I mean, originally this is what I've done, but if I do it like this, it doesn't catch my eye. It doesn't. So let's say space evenly. Let's see how does that work. I'm going to keep it as it is. Doesn't really matter. We shouldn't waste too much time on this anyway. So let's go ahead and keep making the width of the window smaller. And we are going to see if our design breaks at any point. So we don't have to worry about the padding for this section because we have set section padding, and it does have its a media query as well. So let's go ahead, let's make it smaller, smaller, smaller. So let's make it smaller, smaller. Let's go. So this is 400. That is cool. And here we have a scroll bar at around 368. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decrease the height and width of these elements. I'm not going to do it around 360 or 400. I'm going to do it in the 500 media query. I'm not going to create any extra one. I'm just going to do it there. Copy this features comment, put it right there. I'm going to say this is going to be the Y section. So Y, content, facts, each individual fact it has. I'm going to change the height to 8 rem. And the width is going to be 8 rem as well. Now you need to keep in mind that you should be able to create a square. Now these kind of border radiuses that we work with, that we experiment with, they mostly work with squares. If you do a rectangle, you may not get the desired shape that you are looking for. I mean, these words, they're really tongue twisters for someone who's not native. There we go. So this is fact. Let's put that here. I'm going to change the font size. Now here I'm going to do something that I've not done in this tutorial series. I'm going to say font size. Now the smallest font size that we have provided that was font size small, static small. If I go to our classes, so we do have this excess. If I do this extra small, it's going to look very, very small. Right? So this is 1 rem. What if I want to do 1.2 rem, 1.3 rem, but in a dynamic way? In a way that if later on, if I change this size, the size of my paragraphs, they're going to change. What I mean is I don't want the font size to be independent of the custom properties that I've created. I want them to have some relationship with these custom properties. So what we could do is we could say calc. And then now when we do any kind of font size, what is that going to give us at the end of the day? It is going to give us a pixel value. So when we do var like font size static small, it's going to give us a pixel value which is going to be 15 pixels or 1.5 rem. So at the end of the day, we are going to end up with a value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say static small, and there are 2 ways of doing this. I'm going to do minus 0.4 rem. This is going to give me, so static small is 1.5 rem minus 0.4 rem. We're going to get 1.1 rem, which is 11 pixels. So I could do this, or I could do XS plus 0.1 rem. In both cases, that is going to look cool. And now you can see we have decreased the size of these paragraphs by 4 pixels in a dynamic way. So we still have this relationship with our custom properties. Now, if I keep making the width of the window smaller, I'm actually looking at horizontal scroll bar. I know this the content, this is going to look cool. I don't worry about that. I just worry about this horizontal scroll bar. I hate it, except when it is a design choice. So around 310, it breaks. And I'm not sure whether it is this section. At this section, it is not. It is definitely this one. If I set it to, then they're very small, and we still have that. So it is not this one. What I could do here is I could leave it at 310. In my opinion, that is cool as well. 310. So that's cool. I'm not going to waste any more time. So with this part of the website has come to an end. See you in the next one.